Welcome to your seated daily CARs routine. This is the minimum amount of mobility training we want to do every single day to keep our joints healthy so that we maintain our range of motion. If we don't move our joints through their fullest range of motion every single day, then we start to lose that range of motion. We'll be doing a CARs routine. CARs stands for controlled articular rotation, which basically just means we're moving our joints through their fullest range of motion. Now, when we're doing CARs, it's very, very important that if we feel any pinching or pain, we don't move into that area. So if you do feel pinching or pain, make your CAR or make your circle a little bit smaller. We're going to start at the top of our body and work our way down, so it'll be really, really easy to remember, and you can start doing this on your own. So we're going to start from a seated position. We're going to start with our neck CARs. I like to lock my hands behind my back, pull my shoulders away from my ears, and we're going to try and move only the neck with no other body part. So make your double chin first, then you're going to try to angle your chin right down to the base of your neck. Drag your chin along your collarbone towards your left armpit, then look behind the left shoulder, angle your chin towards the ceiling, look behind the right shoulder, pull your chin back into the base of your neck and angle your chin towards your right armpit, then drag your chin along your collarbone back to the center. We'll continue one more CAR in this direction, angling your chin towards your left armpit, looking behind the left shoulder, angling chin towards the ceiling, looking behind the right shoulder. Pull your chin back in towards the base of your neck as you angle your chin towards your right armpit, back to center. We'll reset and do 2 CARs the other direction, making your double chin, looking straight down at your belly button, dragging your chin along your collarbone towards your right armpit, looking behind the right shoulder, angling your chin towards the ceiling, looking behind the left shoulder. Pull your chin back in as you angle it towards your right armpit, back to center. One more CAR this direction, chin towards your right armpit, looking behind the right shoulder, chin towards the ceiling, looking behind the left shoulder. Pull your chin back in as you angle it towards your left armpit, and then back to center. Now we're going to move down the spine. We're going to do some cat-cows from a quadruped position. So we'll start with wrists directly underneath the shoulders. We're going to imagine there's a wave traveling up your spine. So instead of just a big flexion and extension of our spine, we're going to try to get each little piece of spine moving independently. So we're going to start with the tailbone. We're going to work our way up, and then we're going to reverse it starting at the tailbone. So make sure we are pushing your hands into the floor. I want you to just a little bit push your hands away from your knees. Then think about just tucking your tailbone. You'll feel your abs engage. You're going to try just to round your lower back. And then just a little bit higher, think about pulling your mid-back up towards the ceiling. And then you're going to try and think about pulling your upper back towards the ceiling. And then finally, you're going to tuck the chin. Now as we reverse it, pull your hands towards your knees as you pull your tailbone towards the ceiling, belly button towards the floor, lower rib cage towards the floor, chest towards the floor, and then lifting your chin up towards the ceiling. Push your hands away from your knees. As you tuck your tailbone, squeeze the bum. You'll feel your abs engage as you're trying to pull your lower back up towards the ceiling. Pull your mid back up towards the ceiling, getting a little bit rounder. Upper back towards the ceiling. And then finally, tucking the chin. Pull your hands towards your knees as you pull your tailbone towards the ceiling. Pull your belly button towards the floor. Lower rib cage towards the floor. Chest towards the floor. And then chin up towards the ceiling. So those are our segmental cat-cows. Now we're going to move out away from the spine, and we're going to work on the shoulder blades with your core engaged, not moving your spine. Pinch your shoulder blades together. Then you're going to shrug. So this is scapular elevation. Then you're going to push your shoulder blades apart. That's protraction. Push your shoulders away from your ears. Pinch your shoulder blades together. Shrug. Push your shoulder blades apart. Push your shoulders away from your ears. One more here. Pinch your shoulder blades together. Shrug. Push your shoulder blades apart. Push them down your back. We're going to go a little bit out now. We've done our spine. We've done our scapula. Now we're doing our shoulders. Again, we're going to start in a seated, comfortable position, trying to get our shoulder moving independent from the rest of our body. Start with our palm facing up. We're going to reach across the body. Then you're going to reach overhead. As you reach overhead, palm is going to be facing in. When you reach that stopping point, when you feel like you can't go back any further without flaring your rib cage, I want you to start thinking about rotating from the shoulder joint itself. So I'm spinning my humerus in the shoulder joint using the muscles. As I'm reaching, I'm imagining I'm reaching around like I'm reaching into a back seat, and I'm going to go back to my hip. I'm going to show you from a side view. I'm going to reach straight behind me, palm is facing out, thumb is facing up. Then I'm going to rotate bicep towards the ceiling, all the way overhead, across my body to the start position. We'll do one more. Reaching across, this is adduction. This is shoulder flexion. Reach that stopping point. I'm going to start using the muscles around my shoulder. It's like I'm trying to reach around behind me, trying to reach something that's straight behind me, back to my hip. I'm reversing. Palm is facing out, thumb is facing up. Then I'm going to spin bicep towards the ceiling, all the way overhead, across my body, back to the start position. We'll do two on the other side. Palm is facing up. This is adduction. This is shoulder flexion, keeping our elbow straight, rotating from the shoulder joint, not just the wrist. Imagine I'm trying to reach something behind me. My upper arm, my humerus is spinning in the joint. As I do so, palm is facing out, thumb is facing back. I'm going to reach straight behind me, my biceps towards the ceiling, all the way overhead, across the body and down. I'll show you from a side view. Across, adduction. This is flexion, using the muscles around the shoulder joint to spin my arm in the joint, back to my hip. I'm going to reach straight back. This is shoulder extension, bicep towards the ceiling, all the way overhead, across my body, back to the start position. Now we're going to go to the elbows. We're going to place one hand to support your left elbow. Palm is facing up. Now as you bend your elbow, imagine you're shining a light beam outside your shoulder. Then you're going to rotate and push it away. Then we're going to bend this way. Bend your elbow, spin so your palm is facing outside your shoulders, and extend. We do one more. You're shining a light beam outside your shoulders, rotate, pushing it away. This is a small movement, but if you do have elbow problems, this is a really good one to do to get your radial ulnar joint working well. Let's go to the other side, supporting my right arm with my left hand, palm facing up. We're going to shine that light beam outside our shoulders, rotate, straighten, and we're going to reverse. Okay, we have one more here. Shining that light beam outside my shoulders, rotate, and straighten, so extension. We're going to flexion, rotate, and extension. One more before we move to the hips. If you have a yoga block, grab a yoga block. If you don't have one, you can also just support your forearm with your opposite hand. We're doing wrist CARs. If you have spent any time sitting at the desk, this is a good one to do. Now with our wrist CARs, you want to imagine, again, nothing else is moving except the wrist. So if you don't have a yoga block to support your forearm, imagine you're trying to hold a phone on top of your forearm and you're not letting it fall off. So again, palm flat, straighten those fingers. We're going to flex the wrist and we're going to make as big a circle as possible in each direction. going to make all the way nice, big circles. Again, if you feel any pinching or pain, we want to make that smaller. We're going to reverse 2 little circles the other direction, trying to get all of the motion coming from your wrist joints. Okay, let's go to the other side. If you just decide to do this routine on your own, if you feel like you need more movement, more CARs in each joint, go ahead and do that. Or if you want to do them right now, as we're going through this routine, feel free to pause and add some more CARs. Make as big a circle as possible with those wrists. Excellent. Those are our wrist CARs. Now we're moving to our side lying hip CARs. So coming to a side lying position, so making sure our hips are stacked, knees are directly in front of the hips. Your head can be either resting on your hand or it can be down on the ground. Now to start off these, we're going to work on the top leg. You're going to pull your knee towards your chest. You'll feel your hip flexor firing up. Then imagine there's a string pulling your knee up towards the ceiling. You'll feel your outer glutes working. When you can't reach up anymore without rolling back, I want you to take the top of your leg, your femur here, rotate it inwardly. This is hip internal rotation. Now try and keep your knee at that height as you reach your heel behind you until you feel your glutes and your hamstrings working. When you can't reach back anymore, knee drops, and we come back through. We have going to the second one, hip flexion, pulling your knee up towards the ceiling, rotate internally. You'll really feel all sorts of muscles in the outer hip turning on. Keep your knee at that same height, reaching your heel behind you until you feel your glutes and hamstrings turn on. Drop that knee back to the start position. We're going to do 2 in reverse. So you're going to imagine you're kicking the wall behind you so you feel your glutes and your hamstrings turn on. We're going to start raising your knee up towards the ceiling. As you're raising it, it comes a little bit forward. When you reach that maximum point, heel comes inward a little bit. That's external rotation. And I want you to bring your knee towards your chest. Feel those hip flexors fire up. Second round, you're going to reach heel behind you. Really feel those glutes and hamstrings. Now start reaching. So this is abduction. Knee towards the ceiling. All sorts of muscles on the outer hip turning on. Rotate ankle inward, hip external rotation. Then pulling knee towards your chest. Those are our hip CARs. Let's go to the other side, side lying hip CARs. Again, if you feel you need to do more, go ahead, pause, add some more. Let's go our hip CARs going hip flexion first, pulling knee towards ceiling. Feel all sorts of outer hip muscles turn on. Internally rotate, so I'm turning the top of my femur inwards, trying as best as I can to keep that knee at the same height. All sorts of muscles in the outer hip turning on. Keep reaching behind me. Feel the glutes, hamstrings turn on. Drop your knee. We have 1 more in this direction. Knee towards your chest. Feel my hip flexors. I'm going to feel my outer glutes turn on as I reach my knee towards the ceiling. Imagine I'm lifting up to create space in the joint. Internally rotating. Reaching heel behind me. Nice and slow. The slower, better. To the other direction. Reaching. This is a hip extension bias. Reach behind you and really until you feel like you can't go back anymore. Then my knee starts to abduct and it starts to come a little bit forward. That's the shape of our hips. Externally rotate, bring it back through flexion, get those hip flexors. We have 1 more. Hip extension bias, reach back, feel my glutes, hamstrings. Up towards the ceiling and forward to follow the shape of my hips until I feel that same maximum point. Externally rotate and then back through hip flexion. We have 1 more. We're going through knee, tibial CARs and knee CARs. So for our tibial CARs, I want you to place your hand on either side of the knee. The knee likes to be supported. Think about pulling your heel towards your glutes. You'll feel your hamstrings fire up. Pull your toes towards your knees as much as you can. You'll feel all sorts of muscles firing up on each side of your shin bone. And then you're turning your toe out. Watch your shin bone rotate outwards. And then rotate your toe inwards. Watch your shin bone rotate inwards. Now this is a very, very important movement of the knee joint. Oftentimes when we get knee injuries, we start losing this tibial rotation, and then we end up with some knee pain. So we're gonna go 5 little tibial CARs, watching that shin bone rotate in and out, in and out. I want you to hug on to your knee. We're doing that same thing with knee straightening and bending. So turning your toe out, straightening your leg 70 to 80%, turn your toe in, watch your shin bone rotate in, and bend the knee. Now we're reversing with your toe in, straighten the knee about 70 to 80%, rotate toe out, and bend. We'll do one more here. Shin bone is burning. We really want to keep the whole time our toes pulled up towards our knees. This is training the tibialis muscle, which is also really important for both ankle and knees. Let's go to the other side. Our tibial CARs first. Hands on either side of the knee. Pull your heel towards your glutes. Feel your hamstrings really as much as you can. Pull your toes up towards your knees and watch your shin bone rotate back and forth. Did you know your shin bone rotates back and forth? We're gonna go 5 here. You might notice one rotates a lot better than the other. Excellent. We've done 5 there. We're going to, this is a knee CAR. So knee CAR is a tibial CAR with knee straightening and bending. Turn your toe out, straighten 70 to 80%, turn your toe in, but really we're looking more at your tibia rotating in, and then we're reversing it. Toe is out, our tibia is turned inward. So we're turning our toe out, letting our tibia rotate outward. We have one more here. In, and we have one more. And that concludes our seated, ground-based daily CARs. Remember, this is the minimum we want to do, move our joints through their fullest range of motion every single day to keep our joints healthy so that we maintain our range of motion.